Good morning and happy Friday, everyone. My name is Nick Marro with Occupy Fantasy. You can find me on Twitter at Nick Marro DFS. I'm here today to help you break down this 10-game NBA DFS slate on both DraftKings and FanDuel. If you could, please like the video if you like it and click subscribe to the channel. That helps us climb these YouTube algorithms to get more of this free content back to you. If you're not already a member at Occupy Fantasy, please just check the links below in the description. You get access to the NBA model you see here, which we have for all other major sports, our single lineup builder and multi lineup builder, as well as access to experts in our private Discord server. There is a 30-minute window leading up into each slate's lock where you can ask questions specific to your lineup, contest selection, or anything it really takes to win at DFS. So, without further ado, let's get this underway here. We have a 10-game slate, which is actually a game or two smaller than we've been seeing on Fridays, so I'm not complaining. Um, but yeah, I want to go game by game, so I got to go really quick. I'm going to touch on all the injury news and how we're going to be pivoting, and I'll highlight my favorite plays on each site as well. So first and foremost, yeah, slate locks at 7 p.m. So just keep that in mind. And let's see here, just getting everything lined up. If you see me kind of looking up to the top right, it's because I have multiple monitors here. I just want to process as much information as possible and get it back to you for the sake of this video. But yeah, let's get into this. So the first game on the slate, we have the New York Knicks at the Charlotte Hornets. The Knicks are 3-point favorites on the road in Charlotte. Looking at the injury report for New York, really nothing major. Obi Toppin got hurt last game. He's out. That's not going to create too much for anyone else, so we don't have to talk about that. Then over on the Charlotte side, no Dennis Smith Jr., no Gordon Hayward, no LaMelo Ball, no Cody Martin. So Charlotte's very thin in the backcourt. So just starting with Charlotte quickly, there is more opportunity on this side if I am playing anyone from this game. We have Terry Rozier and Kelly Oubre that look like good plays on both sides. So those are two guys I'm certainly considering. In the front court, they're fine. Guys like PJ Washington, McDaniels, Plumlee, all GPP viable plays. But on these larger slates, it usually makes sense to kind of leave spots open in those early games. So you're really only playing guys that lock in these early 3 games if you really like them, because you're going to want to leave yourself some room to pivot as news breaks throughout the slate. And yeah, if you're falling behind, you can kind of pivot onto lower owned plays to try to climb back up that leaderboard. But as things stand right now, I would prioritize Rozier and Oubre from this game. I think they're really solid plays for Charlotte with both Hayward, Ball, and Dennis Smith Jr. out. So over on the Knicks side, Julius Randle's been really solid. I think he's a good play on both sides. I like Jalen Brunson as well. Mitchell Robinson a bit too cheap over on DK where he's 5K flat. For the Knicks, good matchup as well against Charlotte, who's been terrible in terms of front court defense this season. So I could see Mitchell Robinson having a big game here. I'm not going to prioritize RJ Barrett, Grimes quickly, but they're all okay GPP plays. Really, it's Randall Brunson for me on the Knicks side. Nothing else that I'm all that interested in. But again, I do think Rozier and Oubre are some of the better options, at least in the 7 o'clock window. So moving on to the next game here, we have the Orlando Magic hosting the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors are actually 8-point favorites on the road, 223.5 point total here. So another decent game environment. The Magic, no Wendell Carter Jr., no Gary Harris, no John Isaac, no surprise there, no Chuma Okiki, and no Jalen Suggs. So this is a little bit tricky. With Suggs out in the backcourt, though, for the Magic, I do think we can look at both Fultz and Cole Anthony. Fultz is coming off a terrible game, but now he's sub 5K on both sides. I think he's a decent value option. You could go there if you need to. Should push around 30 minutes. Cole Anthony a little bit safer, but also more expensive. So he's a little tougher for me to want to get to, but I do like Fultz a lot on both sides. I know he's coming off a dud. The floor is low, but the field's going to feel the same way. So his ownership should dip as a result. With Wendell Carter Jr. out, we have seen Mo Wagner kind of move into a bigger role. He's been consistently hitting value in this 5K range. His price is up to like 55, 5,600 on both sites, 5,700 on DK. But yeah, I do think he's at least viable if you're playing multiple lineups. Probably not someone I'm chasing if I'm only playing one lineup, though. Mo Bamba hasn't been great lately. I'd like to see him kind of play better before I get back to him, even with Carter out of the lineup. Don't mind Bol at center, but there are a lot of good center plays on this slate. So really the only priorities for me here are probably Fultz and then maybe Paulo Banchero. Certainly their most talented player. He's been fairly inconsistent, but now he's priced Below 8K, 7,500 on DK, 7,700 on FanDuel. That's a good option. But really nothing we have to force here. I do like Fultz, but I can't say he's safe, so I don't really want to call him a core play. Over on the Toronto side, no Hernan Gomez, no Otto Porter, no Prentice Achua, so nothing major for them. As always, guys like Siakam, Barnes, and Van Fleet look okay. OJ Anunoby looks good as well. I mean, Siakam's been the best player on this team this season. So if I'm paying for any of these guys, it's probably him, but he's much more expensive than the others. Toronto's one of these teams where there's a lot of good players, but it's tough to know who's going to go off on a given night because they have so many quality options. So I do like Siakam. He's just not someone I'm really prioritizing. But yeah, something to keep in mind. But yeah, really no priorities for me from Toronto. Just too many mouths to feed. So not the best game on the slate. More comfortable skipping that one than I am maybe Rozier or Oubre if you are locking in guys in the 7 o'clock window. Probably the best game in the 7 o'clock window for fantasy. We have the Wizards at the Pacers. The Pacers are 5-point favorites at home. 233.5 point total here. So certainly something to keep an eye on. The Pacers are pretty healthy now. They have Miles Turner listed as questionable. That's a big one. If Turner is out, excuse me, that's going to create opportunity for Jalen Smith. Smith actually rested last game, so if Smith is in, I like him everywhere. I think he'd be a priority, and that is if Miles Turner is out. So if Turner's out and Smith is in, Smith is a core play. I think you would want him on both sides. He'd probably start at center. Really favorable matchup. If Turner's in, Turner is viable. I don't mind him. And then if Isaiah Jackson's out and Turner's in, I think you could still look to Jalen Smith as a value option. Wouldn't be as much of a priority for me, but I would want to get some shares there. But yeah, we got to really wait on that Miles Turner news. Luckily, it's the first game on the slate in that first window, so we will know what's going on there. In the backcourt, Tyrese Halliburton's back and healthy. One of the better guard plays on the slate. I like him everywhere. Otherwise, there's really nothing we have to prioritize here. I mean, Andrew Nembhard has been excellent. 5K flat on FanDuel. It's a reasonable price, but other than him and other than Halliburton, there's really nothing in the backcourt for me on Indiana. Again, keep an eye on Miles Turner. That's the key here. We have a similar story over in Washington as far as injuries are concerned. Kristaps Porzingis is questionable, but Bradley Beal's already ruled out. So, and we also have Will Barton questionable now. So that's something to keep an eye on. But with Beal out, I already like Kuzma and Porzingis. But if Porzingis is out, knowing Beal's already out, Kuzma would become a core play for me. So this is another one we have to keep an eye on. Luckily, it is in that early window. If all those guys are out, I would like Denny Avila more as well. If Will Barton's out, that should secure more minutes for Avila. The issue with him is his price has come up, but he has been consistently hitting value, so I don't mind him. Kind of a sneaky play in the backcourt. I don't mind Monte Morris. He's finally playing over 30 minutes a night. With Beal out of the lineup, he's going to be doing more ball handling. He's going to see a higher usage rate. But really, just to kind of circle back on this whole game here. We're waiting on the Miles Turner news. We're waiting on the Kristaps Porzingis news. Those are both huge pieces that we certainly need to consider as we're building lineups tonight. So we are done with the 7 o'clock window. Moving into the 7:30 window now, we have the Sacramento Kings at the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs are 5-point favorites at home. So scrolling down on this injury report, Kevin Love is out. Donovan Mitchell is questionable, so this is one we have to keep an eye on. Mitchell coming off maybe his best game of the year. If he sits here, Darius Garland would become a priority for me on both sides. I'd like him a lot. So definitely keep an eye on that. If Mitchell's in, you can still go to him at sub 9K. That's a really favorable price and a great matchup. A little bit tougher to get to on FanDuel where he's over 9K, but he would be a good play on both sites. But again, Mitchell's out. We go to Garland. Mitchell's in. He's okay. I really like Jared Allen on both sides, though. He's sub 7K, coming off a huge game. Sacramento's front court defense is pretty terrible. And yeah, we've just seen Allen consistently hitting value at this price. He should probably be priced mid sevens, closer to 8K, and we're getting him sub 7K here. So really a great play on both sides, with or without Mitchell in the lineup. No Kevin Love, too. That helps secure some minutes in that front court. I don't mind him at all. But yeah, keep an eye on this Mitchell news. It's certainly very important. Then over on the Kings side, actually, we have De'Aaron Fox listed as questionable. If Fox is out, that's going to create opportunities for guys like Malik Monk. That should be more usage for Domantas Sabonis. And if Davion Mitchell starts for the Kings, he would be one of the better value plays on the slate. I don't know that we can count on it, but most of the time when Fox is out, we do see Mitchell slide in the starting lineup. He's cheaper on DK, but on both sides, I would consider him a priority play. Again, that is only if De'Aaron Fox is ruled out. If Fox is in, he's okay. He's just been pretty bad all week. So I don't want to stick to trends too closely. I mean, there are going to be big games from him coming, but against a really tough defense in Cleveland, I don't think we'd have to necessarily go there. I do like Monk and Herter, regardless of who's in here. I think Terrence Davis being out, or Davis is questionable. I mean, as long as Davis is out, I would like some Malik Monk. Herter, very scoring dependent guard, not someone you have to force. Obviously, Sabonis is good anytime you can afford him. Pretty inconsistent, but I mean, with Fox out, he'd see massive usage, and he's coming off four out of his last 5 games in which he has been over 40 fantasy points. So Sabonis strong play. Fox, if he's in, he's okay, but I'm hoping he's out and we could get to maybe some Davion Mitchell if he is in that starting lineup. So certainly something to keep an eye on. Again, biggest piece of news in this game is that Donovan Mitchell piece. If Mitchell's in, he's a good play. If he's out, we're going to want to load up on Darius Garland. So moving into the next game, we have the Lakers at the 76ers. The 76ers are 4.5-point favorites at home, 228.5-point total here. On the Lakers, Anthony Davis left mid-game last time out, so that was very frustrating, but that was just a stomach bug. Looks like he's okay. He's listed as probable. LeBron James also probable. We're seeing JTA and Wenyen Gabriel both ruled out here. So I love some AD if he's in. I don't think anyone's going to want to pay $12.12 for him on FanDuel. He's pretty pricey on DK as well. Yeah, that's just going to leave a bad taste in everyone's mouth, and he's super expensive, and there are a lot of good pay-ups on this slate. So if you're getting AD like 5% owned, I do like him as a play, as scary as that is. I don't mind LeBron either. He's been really good since he's been back from injury. Both good plays. If either's out, though, you'd want to prioritize the other, and then Russ is fine off the bench, not someone I'm forcing. I don't mind Dennis Schroeder as a value play as long as he's starting, even with Pat Beverly back in the lineup. Beverly isn't a very high-usage guard. They rely on him more for defense and things like that. So I do like Schroeder is a value option as long as he starts. And then if AD or LeBron are out, that would probably create more opportunity for Thomas Bryant. But as things stand, I'm really not getting to him. Over on the 76er side, no Tyrese Maxey, no Georges Niang, and that's about it. So yeah, we could look to Embiid, we could look to Harden. Harden's still cheap, working his way back from injury though. Kind of tough to trust if you're paying up. I'd rather get to some of the other guards we talked about, like Halliburton, Garland if Mitchell's out, and Trae Young coming up in a game I'm about to talk about. But yeah, I do think Harden's good as a GPP play. Obviously a high ceiling, should be pretty low ownership. I love Embiid if you can afford him, but he's really just tough to get to. So I don't mind Embiid here. There's just other pay up options on the slate I prefer. Really no secondary plays for me from the 76ers today. Not really any from the Lakers either, except for maybe Schroeder. Not my favorite game, but there are some studs here. One of these guys could go off. I can see AD having a huge game. Wouldn't surprise me, either with LeBron or Embiid. But yeah, no one I'm prioritizing necessarily. So let's move into the next game here. We have the Hawks at the Nets. The Nets are 7-point favorites at home. Some big news here for sure. Mostly on the Atlanta side. DeJounte Murray's ruled out with an ankle sprain. DeAndre Hunter is questionable. John Collins is out as well. So with Collins and Murray both out, Trae Young, one of the better pay-up options on the slate. He should have all the usage here. I mean, if you think back to last year, though, where he was kind of the main focal point of this offense before they had Murray, he wasn't always a smash on every slate. So I don't want to get overboard on him here, but with Murray out, he is seeing considerable boost. Sorry, I can't talk. Considerable boost. So I do like Trae Young a lot here. If Hunter's out, that could create some opportunity on the wing for some of these guys we've seen, like Johnson, AJ Griffin. No one I'm really forcing or prioritizing, but definitely keep an eye on that starting lineup. Could see some value there if we're not getting it from other games. With Collins out, Clint Capella has been excellent. I do like him here. I think he's a solid option. Brooklyn's front court defense has been spotty at best. So yeah, Capella, good play. If Hunter's out too, I mean, we should see opportunity for, where is he? AJ Griffin, Jalen Johnson, some of these guys. Even Jarrett Culver, if he starts, I don't mind as a punt. Really, no one I'm prioritizing other than Trae Young. For Atlanta, Clint Capella would kind of be next in line for me on that team. But yeah, definitely like Trae Young today with no DeJounte Murray. On the Nets side, the Nets are actually getting Ben Simmons back tonight, which kind of cuts into everyone else. I don't mind Simmons in GPPs, but I can't imagine he gets a full run of minutes here. Kyrie's coming off one of his best games of the season. I think he's fine, but his rates have been terrible with Simmons in the lineup, so I'd proceed with caution if you're going to him. If there's any net I like tonight, it is probably Kevin Durant. He's priced reasonably compared to some of the other pay-ups. And yeah, he's just been excellent all month. He's won multiple Player of the Week awards. And yeah, just producing at a very high level, sub 11K on both sites. Like me some Durant. Don't mind Simmons. Keep an eye on if Joe Harris is still in the starting lineup or not. There's a chance Royce O'Neal slides out of the starting lineup. I don't think they do that. I think maybe they start Simmons at the 5, which would really cut into Claxton. I don't like Claxton as much now that Simmons is back healthy. So really for the Nets, it's just Kevin Durant for me. Nothing else I'm really all that interested in. Moving into the 8 o'clock window, we have the Detroit Pistons at the Memphis Grizzlies. Pistons, no Cade Cunningham. Isaiah Livers is doubtful. So, yeah, the Pistons are one of these teams where everyone looks okay. There's really no one I'm ever prioritizing, though. Like Killian Hayes is fine. Jaden Ivey's fine. Bay, Stewart, Bogdan. Bogdan's probably my favorite of these Detroit guys just because he has been taking a lot of shots, but he's tough to trust entirely. But yeah, nothing on Detroit I'm forcing. They're pretty healthy other than Cade being out, and they're all kind of priced up with Cade out because he's been out for a couple weeks now. So nothing really I'm forcing on Detroit. Over on the Memphis side, Desmond Bane's still out. Danny Green. Steven Adams is questionable. So that's the big piece of news here. If Adams is out, then we're going to want some Brandon Clark for sure. Santi Aldama, we'd see increased usage in minutes for him as well. So if Adams is in, he's okay. Really not prioritizing him. If he's out, Brandon Clark probably becomes a core play, so definitely keep an eye on that. John Morant, one of the best guard plays on the slate. Great matchup against a soft defense. I like him on both sides. He is priced up. He is kind of tough to get to, but I like him here. So plenty of John Morant for me tonight probably. But yeah, this is a 10.5 point game total. So if there were going to be a game where you may have to be concerned about blowout, it could be this one. But yeah, I like Ja. I think he's fine. Not going to rush to get the guys like Dylan Brooks. I don't mind Santi Aldama, even if Adams is in, but just not someone I'd be prioritizing. But definitely keep an eye on the news there with Steven Adams because I would love to get the Brennan Clark. And yeah, he'd be one of the better value plays on the slate if we do get news that Adams is out. Moving into the next game here, we have the Phoenix Suns at the New Orleans Pelicans. I'll do this one on DK, but on FanDuel too much. I like to click between the two sites, guys. I play on both sites. I try to look for pricing discrepancies. I try to play players where they're cheaper. But yeah, I mean, you get the two center spots on DK. There's more guys with multi-position eligibility on both sites. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But yeah, let's check this injury report. So for Phoenix, Jay Crowder still refusing to play basketball. Cam Johnson's probably out for the season. Dwayne Washington Jr. is out. Really nothing big there. I think the bigger piece for Phoenix is that Chris Paul is back and healthy. That's going to cut into Devin Booker's usage. That's going to make Cam Payne essentially unplayable where he's priced up on both sites as if Paul's still out. I don't mind Paul. I don't mind Ayton. They're both okay options in that mid-range. Neither I'm really prioritizing, though. You could get up to Booker. I don't think anyone's really going to be paying for him with Chris Paul back in the lineup. We've seen his rates drop dramatically with Paul in there. But I do think he still has a decent ceiling in him if you want to mix him into your tournament builds. But really, nothing from Phoenix I'm prioritizing. They're also getting Torrey Craig back now, which hurts the other wing options. So nothing for me really from Phoenix. Over on the New Orleans side, Jose Alvarado's questionable. Brandon Ingram's out. Herbert Jones is out. Kyra Lewis is also out. CJ McCollum really hasn't been hitting a very high ceiling since he came back from injury, but his price is down below 7K on DK. I think he's 7K flat on FanDuel. Hasn't even hit 20 fantasy points his last 3 times out, but the big games from him are coming. I do expect him to bounce back soon, so if you can kind of catch that before it happens, then that could help you climb a leaderboard for sure. So I do like CJ in tournaments. Zion is Zion, obviously 50, 60 point ceiling, probably 30, 40.4 if he gets into foul trouble, but I do think Williamson's fine here. Not the best matchup, certainly, but a very close spread, pretty high total, so it is a decent game environment. I actually like Trey Murphy a lot, kind of as a sneaky play on the wing. He's just been producing at a pretty high level. His price has come up a bit, but with Jones and Lewis and Alvarado maybe out, that should be more minutes and usage for him. So no real priorities for me from this game. Again, Joe Val's always a boomer bust center play. Never someone I'm rushing to get to, but he is someone you can consider. So let's move into the next game. We have the Minnesota Timberwolves at the Utah Jazz. The Jazz are 2-point favorites at home, and there's certainly a lot of news to talk about here. Taurean Prince is out. Karl Anthony Towns is out. So what that does is it creates a lot of usage for everyone else who's going to start. Anthony Edwards' price is up. I still love him on both sides. I think he's one of the better guard plays on the board. We finally saw Rudy Gobert have that big game with Cat out of the lineup. We've kind of been expecting this to happen for the better part of a week. Really haven't seen it. Pretty low floor for Rudy, but he's cheap enough with a very high ceiling that I do think I like him in any format. Probably more of a GPP play for me, just the nature of Rudy Gobert, but I do think he's a really strong play here where you're getting him sub 8K on both sites. Edwards, certainly my favorite Timberwolf. D'Angelo Russell, solid option. High ceiling, low floor. As far as secondary plays go, I do like Kyle Anderson. Pretty inconsistent. I'd like to see him in the starting lineup before I go to him with any sort of confidence. He's shown a low floor at times, but again, pretty high ceiling for that sub 5K price tag. Naz Reid's had some huge games recently. I think the only way he gets there again, though, is if we see Gobert ejected or in foul trouble. So don't be fooled by that game log. He's just a very, very risky option. The priorities for me on Minnesota are Edwards, then Russell in that order. Don't mind Anderson if he starts. And I do like Gobert, probably more than the field does. And he is in Utah tonight, so if you're into revenge narratives, maybe that's one you can enjoy. But I don't know. I don't think he's too upset leaving there, considering how much they traded for him. But again, revenge is kind of stupid. Don't look too deeply into it. It's not something we could quantify. But over on the Jazz side, we do have a lot of news we have to talk about. Mike Conley's questionable. Lauri Markkanen is questionable. So Colin Sexton's already ruled out. So if we're looking at Utah here, if Conley's out, we could go back to Clarkson. He's cheaper on FanDuel, but I would like him on both sites as long as Conley is out of the lineup. Kelly Olynyk seeing a big boost with Markkanen out of the lineup, so I would like him. He's playing more on the forward than the center, and that's creating minutes for a very good value play in Walker Kessler. Going to be easier to trust this guy if Markkanen's out, so keep an eye on that. He actually started last game, so Walker Kessler could end up being one of the better value plays on the entire slate. Maybe leave yourself some room to pivot in these late games if we don't get that Markkanen news early. But Kessler is an excellent option on both sites. Much better on FanDuel. Take that back. Much better on DK. He's 5,300 on FanDuel, just over 4K on DK. So one of the better center value plays on the slate. Do like him a lot. With Sexton out, we're seeing more minutes and usage for guys like Beasley and Alexander Walker as well. Beasley is the much safer of the two, but these are two options you can use in tournaments to kind of mix in your lineups. But yeah, I mean, Conley being out is also very important. Like I mentioned before, if he's out, that would create a lot of usage for Clarkson. Clarkson would be kind of a borderline core play for me. 6,600 on FanDuel, that's a better price than what we're seeing on DK. But yeah, just keep an eye on that news. But yeah, this is a really strong game. I like it a lot. Moving into the last game on the slate, we have the Bucks at the Mavericks, and the Bucks are 1-point favorites on the road in Dallas. No major injury news. No Wes Matthews or Ingles for the Bucks. No Dorsey, Hardy, Wright for the Mavericks. No one who's even really a rotational player. So this one's pretty simple. You look up top here. Sort by price. I mean, the two best probably plays on the slate in terms of just raw point upside are Luka and Giannis. It's tough to trust either entirely. Like, Luka's so much easier to get to on FanDuel. On DK, he's 13K, which we haven't seen in a while, I think, since Harden was going off in Houston. So I do like Luka here. He's just tough to get to on DK. I do like Giannis a bit more than him for the $700 discount we're getting on DraftKings. On FanDuel, they're both easier to get to, sub 12K. Really like these guys. Great late night hammer. If I'm choosing one of the two in a vacuum, price not considered, I do like Luka a bit more. The Bucks did just get Middleton back, which could cut into Giannis's usage a bit, but it also makes the defense a little bit softer on him. So there's reason to like both of these guys a lot. I do like Drew Holiday a lot as well, but it's really just tough to prioritize anything else from this game. Both teams are completely healthy. They're priced where they should be. So again, nothing we necessarily have to force. So to wrap things up, I'll just take one last look at the model, see if we got ownership yet. It is still pretty early, so I don't know that we will. Well, it does look... Sorry about that. some noise glitch there. I don't know what the hell that was. Anyway, yeah, we're seeing Denny Avila pop towards the top in DK ownership. He's popular over on FanDuel as well. 33% owned. That's because Bradley Beal's out of the lineup. He is starting, but again, the price is up on him, especially on FanDuel. I don't think we have to force it. I like Julius Randle. Bogdan Bogdanovic. I'm surprised to see him so popular. I guess we got word that his minutes limit's probably been lifted. With DeJounte Murray out, that doesn't surprise me. He's probably seeing increased usage, but I would keep an eye just on Atlanta beat writers and try to figure out how many minutes he's playing throughout the day. I could take a quick look at him. Of course, everything's going slow for me now. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so we got to take a look at Bogdanovic's minutes. I don't know that I trust him as much as the field does as things stand, but he is a good play. We talked about Kelly Oubre early on, really solid option. Sorting by index, I think we're going to see Luka, popping towards the top, followed by Embiid, Morant, Giannis. No surprises there. A lot of quality plays. A lot of news we have to keep an eye on, guys. So once again, if you did get anything of value from this video, please click the like button. Please also click subscribe. It helps us climb those YouTube algorithms and get us more of this free content out to you. Again, check the links in the description. Become a member of Occupy Fantasy today. We'd love to have you. You get access to our model here as news breaks throughout the day. We'll keep you updated. The model updates in real time. We also have our single and multi-entering lineup builders, and you get access to our pros, including a 30-minute window leading up into lock each slate, where you could ask your lineup-specific questions. So once again, everyone, let's have some fun tonight, make some money. Really fun Friday slate, but keep an eye on that news throughout the day, because to win an NBA DFS, you got to keep up with that news. But have fun, everyone. Good luck, and have a great weekend.